one sea, one tide, one earth. So you and I gotta learn to live together. When one hurts, when one needs, we all gotta learn to live together. Peace, make peace, make peace, peace. Alright. Isn't it time to stop dying? Isn't it time to stop crying? Stop the fighting and the hate. We gotta make peace before it's too late. There's one sea, one sky, one earth. So you and I gotta learn to live together. When one hurts, when one needs, we all gotta learn to live. In peace, in peace, alright. Peace together. Peace.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the main event. Let's get ready to rumble!
Y'all ready for this?
Hey guys, how's it going? Thank you for joining me on the special edition. It's something we need to talk about, so I'm here. And Shadow Chasing Show, thank you guys for being of the program. I'll get my switch it back to the screen here. Thank you. Here we go. I see you guys. So anyways, we've got some very interesting stuff. The reason why this is called a special edition is due to something I found. I didn't realize that actually this newspaper ended up in my peripheral view, when I parked my car in front of Shoppers Drug Mart here in Surrey on the British Columbia, or here in BC. And what I'm going to show you guys is we'll show you this here on the screen. We'll do a screen share. So basically, I'll screen share that part there. And I'll share part from the screen on this screen. Now, according to the government, where is it here? Window, here we go. According to the government, they don't want us to share this. They are wanting us not to share any news media, period, because apparently and all that came out. They're sure that the public did not know what's closed prison doors, as well as what's going on in regarding the mainstream media. So what I came across was this particular edition when it said 717 days locked up without trial, Canada's dirty little secret. I know of the magazine here. I know the newspaper, news media. These guys have been around. And I knew of them, but I didn't know that they were here in BC. I know they were in Ontario when the truckers were out in Ottawa, and they were back in 2022, and trying to basically say, you know, we want our freedom, enough of this, enough is enough, the protest and all that. It was a peaceful protest, has always been a peaceful protest, but for some reason, the people were, or the public was kept, I guess the mainstream media made sure that the public did not know. So you'll see here on that it talks about, okay, now the edition actually is called, you know what this is right in front of you guys on the screen. And it's all to do with about truth. And the D was silent at first. Okay. So basically it's called truthers, but they changed it to the D for a reason, because of, I guess you say, certain editions of mainstream media. Now, Kyle Cardinal did an editorial regarding this. It's called The Truth Matters, and this has been ongoing. There's been many other types of things have been going on, but what has happened with this particular story, these four men were locked up for 717 days still so far. Folks, you know, that realize it's over almost 2.5 years. Okay. Yeah. There is, yeah, YouTube is playing a game right now. They don't like to see what I'm doing right now. So if it's buffering, you can always swing over back to Facebook. But we're both here. And I wish they would stop doing that. So anyways, like I said before, it's a little game there. And so the thing is, what I'm trying to do is to let you guys know that, you know, we're not alone. But see, what happened was, and to let you guys know, if you don't know what's going on, the mainstream media has been telling, you know, the usual lies to all of us regarding Coutts up in Alberta. And when they, we'll start this from the very beginning. The freedom fighters, or the freedom convoy protesters, not freedom fighters, freedom convoy protesters. I was just reading a column just before I got on the show about somebody talking about being a freedom fighter. What happened was, I want to fit in as much as I can on the program. I mean, there are people out there right now today who I want to give big kudos out there that have been following all of this and helping and sharing the mainstream media and stories regarding what these four guys have been dealing with. And Gordon McGill has been out there. He's a fellow trucker and political commentator. He's been actually out there doing his thing. All the guys from Druthers, thank you guys for being right behind everybody and supportively doing the program. I've been watching everybody out there as much as I can regarding when the trucking was happening and what happened down in the regions of Ontario, as well as across Canada and here. So now in Coutts, Coutts is, if you guys don't know where Coutts is actually at the border right next to Montana. To tell the story and to sort of let you guys know exactly what really went on. Now, there's a lot of people out there, a whole bunch of people out there, a lot of truckers, and it was a peaceful protest. And I watched the videos. I've seen the videos from the very beginning right to the end. And the RCMP, what they had said was that the truckers are trying to barricade, they're trying to run right through to the next side of the border, and they're going to run people over. Well, that's wrong. The RCMP are actually standing at the border, and they're making sure that nobody went through, okay, that nobody crossed the border. There were a certain group, a couple of police officers that decided to plant, and this is witnesses, folks, plant weapons in the back of these vehicles. Okay. Then they made up a story and lied to the public because they were told to. Now, to let you know what's going on, that we do have corruption in every aspect of government. And you guys all know that, right? Now, and I'm not saying it's my opinion, because many other people have said the same thing. I'm just sharing the story, and I have videos to show some of the videos that I've seen where people were there, and are also Pastor Artur Pawlowski was there. He wasn't there to rile up the boys and go and out there and start shooting guns and blaze the whole 9 yards. Sure, he may have been from Poland. Sure, he had dealt with a lot of painful things. Where he lived in Poland previously before, there was a lot of military uprising or harm to the public, to the citizens of their country in Poland. That's why he came to Canada, hoping there was going to be peace. That's why he became a pastor. But he knew, and that's why he called the RCMP Nazis. Okay, NAZIs is what he called them. So he called them that because they were coming after him, because he was holding church services. Okay. And they were trying to stop anybody from gathering together, no matter what it is. And all people were doing it, like you folks were doing. A lot of you out there are trying, maybe possibly, or supporting what we're doing. But I'll guarantee you this, and I'll guarantee you completely this: not one trucker nor anyone that was part of the convoy, okay, in 2021-22, no one was ever a racist nor misogynist. That was designed by Justin Trudeau, because if you look at the old history, photographs, and words, that apparently his idol was Hitler. And he took those words from his book and did the same thing and repeat himself again. This is all repeat from the Second World War to control the masses. This is a repeat, folks. Okay. Now, in Alberta, we have a Premier, Jason Kenney. This is before the other premier that took over. Okay. So Danielle Smith had nothing to do with this. You guys are so people are saying, oh, she's the one that caused all this. She's the one that, no, she wasn't there. Jason Kenney was. You want to talk about corruption? Jason Kenney. He was one at the time that told the RCMP to, whatever you do, just make up something. They don't care. Just get rid of them. Just cause something to make it as if someone's trying to cause trouble. And they went as far as planting weapons. Okay, and that's exactly how this started. It's been proven. People tried to prove that these were plants. Now, I'm going to get flack. I'm going to hear it because the mainstream media actually, they did the story, the column on it, but they said they were adding stuff into the story that had nothing to do with what was going on. But they added the story to it. Now, I've got information here, what their accusations were, what they said, what weapons were that the RCMP found. In fact, the RCMP, after they took these men, they wanted to know where their address was, and they went to these men's homes and tried to find something bad about them to make it look as if they're really evil people. Now, there's one of the guys that's there. Now, anybody who's a farmer always has a rifle on hand in their vehicle. And this one guy was actually out shooting coyotes, because it's part of his work. In the winter, you go shoot coyotes because you are a hunter. Half of these guys in the group are indigenous. So how can these men be racists or misogynists? Okay. You got a Morin. Okay. You have a Morin in the group. You got an editor of the newspaper, and his name is Cardinal. So it's not racist, folks. And you got people believing. They even had to have someone in Parliament to say that these truckers are racist. Half of these people that were at the event of the truckers convoy were indigenous and other ethnic backgrounds. So it had nothing to do with racism. None. People went there specifically for peaceful protest with children and a bouncy castle. Okay, now I'm bringing all this around. I'm going back and forth from Ottawa to Coutts because it all relates together. Right? Now, these 4 men, and I will mention their names in a few minutes, because Arthur Pawlowski himself actually did time for 57 days in Edmonton Maximum Prison. No charge, no fingerprint, no nothing. They put him in because, again, Jason Kenney was a premier, and they wanted to find a way to shut down or to stop Arthur Pawlowski, so they imprisoned him. They put him in Edmonton Maximum Prison. Edmonton Maximum Prison with other, some of the men were violent. Okay, some of these prisoners are violent, have a violent background. These are prisoners in Edmonton. Okay. And they put him in to 23.5-hour lockdown. And that is that apparently, according to Arthur Pawlowski, he had no clothes, only his underwear. And it was freezing cold in the wintertime. Those little mats, and I used to work at Remand, and I've seen what these guys go through. The little mats are like 1 inch thick. And you got a very thin little blanket. It's not wool. It's just a piece of sheet. And you're sleeping on a metal steel. You're sleeping on a steel bed attached to the wall. Okay. There's no heat in the building. This is 23.5 maximum lockdown. They don't care. If you die, you die. And Pawlowski was ready to leave the world because he thought, well, that's it. Okay. A lot of these people suffered that were placed in, and they never got charged. They never got fingerprinted. It was never proven what they had done wrong. This was planted. So they're just, well, what if there was? What if there was? So what I'm going to show you, and I'll mention these men's name that actually, if you don't know who they are. Now, the men that were locked up in prison is Tony Olnick, Jerry Morin, Chris Carbert, and Chris Lysak. Now, 2 of the men had just recently got released. They didn't get released because they were not guilty. They had no proof on them. They had to let them go. Okay? They had to let them go. But also they got them to sign a waiver that they cannot communicate with anybody about the story. They cannot tell anybody about anything that went on inside. They have to keep their mouth shut or they go back in. Because the charge on them is actually a military charge, but it's actually the War Act under, okay, Trudeau's word. Okay. Trudeau wanted to make it where he's the good guy and the protesters are the bad people. Not one protester ever was violent. Not one. Not one. I've watched so many people out there. Not one was violent. All right. So, like young lady Little Honey Bear says in the chat room, yep, I know Pastor Arthur Pawlowski, and she said he's from a country that where my parents used to tell me what happened in Poland. Poland had a lot of violence, a lot of the people were abused terribly in Poland. That's why he escaped Poland, came to Canada, and all of a sudden the RCMP treated him. And I watched all the videos. He was recorded. I watched him be picked on by the RCMP. He was literally dragged out of his car, handcuffed on, not just by his hands, behind his back. They actually they also ankle cuffed him, and they treated him like a prisoner in the middle of the rain. He didn't do anything wrong. The RCMP, like I said, they just took him. Now, if you think about this, folks, just think about this. There are people who are bank robbers. When they catch them, they charge them. Okay. They go before a judge, they sentence them, and they do their time. Arthur Pawlowski was just grabbed, held in custody without charge, and kept out of sight because he knew the truth. He was speaking the truth. Same with these 4 men and everyone else. Pawlowski showed up, and here's why Croots went crazy. Okay? Because Pawlowski showed up. He was just helping the men to give them support, let them know that God's on their side. And these men gathered in the building, and they were saying, like, we don't know what to do. We're sitting here patiently. We want to make sure that the truckers get through the border. The truckers are just trying to get through the border so they can get to work. But the RCMP barricaded the border. It wasn't the border guards. The border guards are welcoming you in. It was the RCMP. Many of them, not 1 or 2. There must have been like 20, maybe more RCMP. Now, why would they go out of their way? Why would the Premier Jason Kenney send all the RCMP out of all the city limits to go to Coutts and to stop the protest or the peaceful protest? It's all peaceful. Nobody hurt anybody. Even the farmers came out with tractors. It was big. I mean, this is what you call a farmers protest too, because this is pretty well in the same direction, because the government was trying to stop anybody from being close together and to say enough is enough. We want our freedom. That's what the whole thing is about. Freedom. Freedom, folks. Is that a dirty word? Is freedom a bad word? Because you know what? Mr. Trudeau is going to make that illegal. He's going to pass that Bill C-63, and if he doesn't like that word, he's going to tell you that, okay, well, I'm going to take you to jail because I dislike what you do. I dislike what you say. Even if you do think about it, you're going to go to jail too. This whole thing relates to the Bill C-63. He's making sure he covers his all 4 corners. He's covering his rear end because, number one, you guys need to know this too. Trudeau actually is under investigation as we speak, and has always been under investigation. But every time the RCMP, there's certain groups or certain special unit was supposed to investigate him for the WE organization, which is all to do with children. Okay. It's became because they're suspiciously thinking it's human trafficking involved, and he's part of it. And again, there's SNC-Lavalin, part of human trafficking involved, and he's being investigated. Okay. The X, and I will say this, and when Joseph, like for example, we'll just bring Jody Wilson-Raybould into this for a second. It's not her fault, by the way. She was a deputy prime minister, and I'm not sure if her position was finance minister as well, but she's deputy prime minister, and Justin Trudeau wanted her to lie for him out of all the investigations, and she refused and she left. You know why? Because she knew the truth, and she wasn't going to get quartered, and she left. She was smart, and she knew what to do, and I support her for that. I gave her big hands up on her part and her family. So when Chrystia Freeland was brought in, and Trudeau knew that when you bring in Chrystia Freeland, here comes the NAZI group, because that's who she is connected to. She's part of all the Ukraine. She's family of the Ukraine. Always has been. People say she's possibly she could be a double agent back and forth. Hey, never know. We'll find out, right? One day. But what I'm pointing out is, anytime anybody tries to question Chrystia Freeland regarding the 4 men in Coutts, or even mentioning anything even to Trudeau himself, they totally avoid them. And all they keep on saying, oh, no, they're They are the worst. They are the terrorists. You also need to remember, too, folks, it was actually before Trudeau, Prime Minister Harper actually reopened the file to welcome the CSIS. Okay, CSIS, which you call the Canadian version of the FBI or CIA, whichever you want to call them. And CSIS didn't exist at the time. There was nothing really, our country was never in danger at the beginning, nor any type of terrorism. It never was. And yet he would say, well, maybe we need to seriously consider it. And everybody kept on saying, no, we don't have no terrorism. So Harper said, well, a month before, he said, well, any indication of terrorism or anybody wants to harm others, then we'll look at signing the bill. But if nobody is doing it, then a month later, next thing you know, here's a psychologically unbalanced young man showing up. All he wanted to do is go back to Turkey. He was actually sent all the way down from BC, British Columbia. He hitchhiked all the way down from British Columbia to get to the Ottawa, to get to the parliamentary building, talk to Harper and say, look, let me go home. I want to go back to Turkey. You see, don't forget, Harper shut down the airline. He would not allow anybody back to go to Turkey. Why? Because he's making people believe that Turkey was a terrorist group or people connected to Turkey's terrorism. So they shut down the airlines and he wasn't allowed to leave. Now, what you guys don't know is that this young man that got shot and killed, the one that ran into the building, he had a rusty old rifle, and there was no bullets in it. He was just out of it in his head because he was not on his meds. He was psychosis. Nobody would tell you that. Your mainstream media won't say that. Won't tell you that he had psychosis. So when anybody's got psychosis, you're imagining certain things that this may be what you got to do. People that have psychosis, I'm not going to harm anyone. All he wanted to do was go home. Then after, when they shot and killed him in parliamentary building, 33 shots, 33 people shot him from all directions and killed him dead. But yet, I remember watching the video at the very beginning when the young man ran into the parliamentary building down the hallway. The RCMP are standing there with the guns in their holsters. They didn't pull out no gun, and they saw him with a rifle and just running in the building. And all the cameras, every CBC, all your mainstream media cameras are beside every pillar watching him coming in, as if they're waiting for him to run inside. It was a setup. Think about it. It was a setup. Okay? And the thing is that he came running in there, and all he wanted is to talk to Harper and said, I want to go home. He wasn't going to shoot him. He just wanted to go home. Harper was upstairs in a closet hiding. But how in the hell can he get to the closet hiding when it takes 2 stories to get to the office? But he was already there long before the young man showed up. And the RCMP didn't pull out their guns and say, oh, he's got a rifle. Hold it, don't come in. They stood there and watched him with their hands on their hips like, oh, there he is. But they had to be out of camera view, and then you heard the shots. Put it down. Boom, 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 boom. Now, I bet you he put his rifle down, and they still shot him. That gave the government the go to bring in CSIS. That's what this whole thing was about. What I found out from a client who told me the story earlier, because that was her client here in BC, and she said that CSIS came to her home and threatened her and told her that if she said anything about this, that they'll take her away and she'll disappear. She was scared. Now, don't mean to put her in a corner on this, but I know the story. Now, CSIS won't touch her. No, they won't touch her. But now that's what she was afraid. This is after they wanted his record. They wanted everything about him, and they knew where to come. They knew he was actually had psychosis because the 2 people that got him all worked up to do it were ex-officers. or actually say plainclothes people, plainclothes officers. We don't know who they were, but they're the ones that convinced him to go to Ottawa and tell Harper what to do. Did you want to go back home? You spend enough time with someone's psychosis, they'll believe it after. And yet, when after he died, and then they called his mother up and said, "Oh, your son died," and she says, "Oh, well, okay." And then I heard the audio, and she says, "Oh, okay. How's the prime minister doing?" "Oh, he's safe. He's fine." "Oh, that's wonderful." That's it. Your brain, when you're on medication, that means his mother also has psychosis. She actually was on meds. Your brain doesn't work. It doesn't move fast. It moves very slow. It doesn't look for violence. You're just trying to figure out where you fit. And all he wants to go home to his dad because his father told him, "Come home, son, and I'll take care of you." And that's all he wanted to do was come home. But they took that away from him. They took that away from him. He didn't deserve to die. He was never violent. The woman said, his counselor said, he would never hurt a fly. He was a very peaceful person. Never hurt a fly. But this is what your government does. It builds people up to make them want to make that person, and they'll do it. They'll get the mainstream media going to do it. If you think about it, folks, I told you this before, Trudeau paid $650 million to the mainstream media, all of the mainstream media, whoever it's corporation or independent, whoever wants to get paid, they'll say whatever he wants them to say so they can keep their jobs, to lie for him. And he actually admitted it on video. He admitted it, that he says that he paid them off so then they can lie for him. And people thought it was a joke. It was no freaking joke. He was serious. He said it because I want them to lie for me. No, he never smiled when he said it. He said it because he has to tell the truth, because he follows a dark side. He follows a group of people, and these group of people, and they tell him what to do. And so he's got to do what he has to do. So, and he's also covering his rear end. He knows he's in trouble. This man's been walking around with a monitor on his ankle for about 2 years during the lockdown. Both him and his wife. There's photographs of both of them with ankle monitors. No prime minister, no president ever walks around with a ankle monitor. That's bullcrap. Oh, someone says, "Oh, well, because they need it because they're someone important." No, you're important, yeah. That means you're under suspicious of, you know what? Then what they do is they'll take the ankle monitor away from you, and they change it into a large boot to look like as if you actually had an ankle with your leg. Gee, how many people suddenly in 1 month that are in government, or, I mean, if you look at Hillary Clinton, she was in a boot. Bill Clinton was in a boot. A lot of other politicians were in a boot. Das Boot. Think about it, guys. A lot of famous people that are in Hollywood were wearing lots of boots that very same day. Everybody. I think I must have seen about good 20 actors wearing boots the same day. And it's not mix and match. Oh, well, if she's doing it, it's fashion. It must be fashion sense. No. And they all said, "Oh, well, I fell." Really? You'll fall down at the same time? You know? Give me a break. So anyways, I'm giving you a little bit of update on understanding of why I'm talking about this, because this Bill 63, it threatens our lives. It basically, what the government's going to do, their goal is to make sure that we can't think bad things. If someone assumes that you're thinking bad things of someone, it's the same thing with China. China will make you you have to show a certain smile, certain expression of a smile in a camera. And if you don't have that certain smile on the camera, if you look like upset or angry, they won't let you in to pass, to go shopping or anything. This is how controlling they are in their country. And this is what Trudeau had said that he was going to do here. He wants to do the same thing. He says he admires the dictatorship of the CCP. He said it. You guys heard it. and he's still for it. And he gets away with it, and you guys are letting him. Sure, we have the other parties, not the NDP. NDP is on Mr. JT's side, and he's just another one too. Singh, he's an idiot. Now, if I insult, like if I start insulting these people, next thing you know, oh, if Bill 63 was here, you have to go to jail for life. No, what this is for, let me explain this to you folks. Bill 63, C63, if that really did get passed, say it got passed, every social network that we were part of, like every Facebook, every YouTube, everything that we would see would be taken away from us. Did you know that? If we decided to use another network somewhere else and do something about this, even if it's a podcast, whatever, we talk about anybody in government, if we talk badly about someone, or if we dislike someone or dislike something, even if it relates to someone that we dislike or whatever, if you use the word hate, and in that program of Bill C63, they're put two things in there to make it as if they need to pass it. It was all to do with human trafficking and where children come to harm. Basically, it's called a Harm Act. And the thing is that is entirely separate from what we are. You can't think of things, of bad things, comparative to a child human trafficking program. That is not a law. They're combining all the laws together. Why are they combining the human trafficking part into this law? So Trudeau can't get tracked. He's escaping. He's trying to make you look like as if you're the bad guy and he's the good guy. Think about it. When Trump was going after Joe Biden for what Joe Biden was doing, Joe Biden flipped it and went after Trump and wanted him impeached. This is exactly what's happening here in Canada. For what we're going after him, he's flipping it back to us and blaming the citizens. And he keeps on using this word, well, the Canadians want, the Canadians want, the Canadians want. Not every Canadian wants it. And he should never include a Canadian in his vocabulary. Because we do not agree with what he does, ever. None. And yet he opens his mouth as when to shut it up. Now, I'm sharing this with you because you need to know the facts. You need to know the truth. Now, there's going to be, I'm hoping this coming Thursday, I'm hoping that if I get a hold of Gordon McGill and have him on the show and he can share with you everything what's really going on, and he's been following up on it. He's closely with those guys. There wasn't just the 4 people that got arrested and put behind bars. There was 9 of them. There's another 9 more, I believe. It's either 9 or including 9 of 9. There's more people, but they won't name them because they know what they have mistakenly done. The RCMP right now are under this certain group of people are actually in deep caca. And the RCMP in deep trouble right now in Alberta. And also the city police, Calgary City Police, Alberta Police are in deep trouble too for a lot of major stuff. So that we're going to have to deal with. Now, it isn't like, even though the magazine, that this newspaper here, if it's ever out here like so, and it'll say 717 days locked up. Okay. Well, actually, this is from beginning of February when this newspaper was brought out. It's actually now, as of today, it's 747 days that these men have been behind bars in prison. The 2 of them that was left now, but like I said, 2 have already been released, but they actually cannot speak. They cannot talk to anybody. They cannot talk to people like you and I to tell their story. What I understood, what I'm hearing from other people that actually have done time in remand that got released, are sharing what went on inside. And these men are verily being absolutely abused. Physically, mentally, even. They don't get the proper food. They're not getting taken care of as far as their health is concerned. They're not treated like another inmate because they're not really inmates. They're under the War Act inmates. That means they could be treated like prisoners of war. Okay, that's what Trudeau's doing. He's treating these two men, Tony Alnick, and who are the two that got released? Hang on a second here. I'll find out which one. Okay. Yeah. So both. Okay, so Chris and both Chris's are still inside. Are they still inside? Yeah, both Chris's are still inside. So it's Chris Carbert and Chris Lysak, I believe they're ones still inside. So Jerry Morin and Tony Alnick are out, or I could be wrong. But anyways, two had signed. I can't remember the names now. I gotta be corrected after. I'll find eventually who are in, who are now. But what happened was, when I'm hearing stories regarding what these inmates now, I have to believe some of these inmates are telling the story, because some of these guys are not completely liars. They're trying to tell you, like, look, here's what happened to me. We're stuck in here. We haven't been charged yet. We're being withheld as prisoners of war. Okay. And that's basically, they're basically treated like political prisoners, and they're kept there. Now, a political prisoner can be kept in prison for 5 years. Okay. They can be kept for 5 years, or whichever. But the thing is that anybody who withholds them without proper charge and proof. Now, they've all, apparently, what I understood, that all these men have actually asked for bail, because if anybody who actually has been a bank robber or drug dealer, they've always given bail and they leave. And they go home, and then you have to appear in court after. But these 4 men know the truth, and they're witnesses to a lot of things they've seen. And if they tell the truth, if these other 2 guys ever got out and told the truth to the public, to the people like you and I, Trudeau knows he's in trouble. Okay, Jason Kenney knows he's in trouble. Now, people are saying right now, actually, or people are mentioning, they're saying, well, how come the new premier, Danielle Smith, how come she hasn't done anything about it? She tried to get these guys out, and Trudeau told her to keep her nose out of his business. He told her to leave them alone, or else she would to be suffering. He's not kidding around. She was trying to get these boys out because she knew very well that, like, this is fishy. What's going on here? How come I'm, Now, I've got some videos here of some of the interviews that some of these people have talked about. I want to introduce you guys to okay, before I go further on that one too, before I forget. Yeah. Not one guy ever, like, there's not one type of violence. This is allegations by the RCMP, October 2022, and they were denied bail. These men were both denied bail. Okay. Chris Lysak and Jerry Morin were released. Okay. So the other 2 are still inside. Okay. They got released. Now, they were told they had to sign that they cannot speak to anybody about anything, and if they was mentioned about it, they go back in. They apparently was some sort of a plea deal. They were charged under mischief and under gun charges, but the gun charges were dropped. The mischief was dropped, so was gun charges. So there's something to do with the plea deal. I don't know what's in the plea deal. I'm not sure what's going on, but whatever. Don't forget, all these 4 men were tortured horribly. Okay. Horribly at first. They were treated. They were so skinny. These men lost their body mass. They weren't treated. They were not fed properly. They weren't allowed to like I said, if they were sick, whatever they suffered. Okay. The guards were not supposed to help them out. In fact, if they asked for a doctor or nurse's care, they never got it. It was bad. I'm telling you, it's worse. I know what it's like to be in remand. I've been there myself. I've watched what it looks like inside, but when I was in there, you got taken care of if there's something wrong. Right? So, but these men are mistreated. And like I said before, we have a lot of corruption in our prisons, especially in Alberta. Calgary as well as Edmonton. And a lot of people are withheld in many we don't know. We may know there's more people in prison that are still also, not just these two men. There could be others that are political prisoners and you don't know about it. Okay. I'm just a little guy telling a story. What I'm seeing here, how come all this is not out in public to see? But CBC and other corporation programs are told to change the story to make it look as if they're the bad guys. And that's why I get people coming in my chat room, not chat room, but in my Facebook and said, well, they deserve to go to jail because they did this. Do your freaking research first before you believe everything you read, what the media tells you. And if you don't if you believe everything the media tells you, then you don't know shit. My apologies. But I'm telling you guys, this is not right. Half of these men, these two men, like Trump, like Trudeau had said, not Trump, but Trudeau had said, he's calling them he's calling them racist and misogynists. Half these men, these two men were Indigenous. The other two were non-Indigenous. So how come they be racist? Okay, and there's many races of people that were at the convoy in Coutts. Okay, many of them are there now. So Jason Kenney, Premier Jason Kenney, he's the one that you need to come after. Okay. He's the one that placed that order to make it happen. He is corrupt as the corruption can be. I've seen him do some major nasty stuff. This is nothing. He's the one that ordered Pawlowski to be placed in prison in the Edmonton pen without charge. He told him, and according to Pawlowski, the prisoners told him that the guards, someone told the guards, and the guards told the prisoners to kill Pawlowski, to take him out. And Pawlowski, when the prisoners came up to him and they said, we were told that we have to take you out, but we're not going to do that, because they want to know why. And he says, I'm just doing God's work and they want me out of the way. Guess what? What Pawlowski did, he started his own church service in the prison. And now all the prisoners joined him. And they came over, these men, they wanted to learn about God. They want to learn about Christ. They want to learn about life. And they became his congregation. And that pissed off. That pissed off Kenney. Jason Kenney hated it. That's why they had to release him after 57 days. Because they couldn't get him down. And they also, the inmates provided him comfort. They were supposed to take him out. And they didn't. And then he got released. But the government still wants Trudeau, as well as Jason Kenney, still want Pawlowski still back behind bars. They want, that's why all these corrupt politicians, besides, and I'm saying, we got some corrupt politicians. We got other good ones out there too, but Danielle Smith is not. She's not corrupt. She's been helping. She's been trying so hard to help people. Okay. And like Myrna says, could not post the news URL from CBC. No, they won't let you. Our country won't let anyone, because if you post the truth, then you have to find a way of doing it. And I tell people, if it's a photograph, copy paste the photograph yourself, and then copy paste all of the writing, and you put it on wherever you want to place it. But if you go to the search engine, drop it in there, they won't let you put in, because all the news media was told, all the social networks are told, besides, like, not. You can do all social, you can drop all you want on Telegram, no problem. Everybody gets to see everything. But it's all the other social networks, they won't let you do it. Okay, which you got your Instagram, you got your YouTubes, you got your Facebooks. They don't want you to put the truth in there, not because they don't want you to, because our Canadian government says this is our new law now, new rules. And that's why I'm telling people, if this C-63 gets passed, then you might say goodbye to all your social networks because you're not going to be in there anymore because they're removing it all from Canada. That means you'll have to all, and I'll give you guys a big heads up, you will all have to have a American phone number. And if you can get a post box, American post box, so to speak, that's no problem. You're probably able to start your own page. But make sure you have something that's American attached, then you can get back in. You can share what you want. It's the Canadian news that they don't want you to share because, like I said before, there are secrets that our Canadian government is hiding, and they know they're being investigated. And the only way they can keep it quiet and silent is making sure that the CBC and all other companies, all these corporate mainstream medias are helping him. Okay. And even they, as long as they help him, global, you name it, global, CBC, they're all helping him. Now, I work at a radio station, but that radio station won't help him. We are truth seekers. We tell the truth. That's why I'm still here. My wife was very, very worried about me, thinking if I talk about this, that something will happen to me. I said, no, it won't. Why am I being urged to talk about this? Why am I asked? Spirit said this needs to be shared. This is important. It's considered as a Monday special report. It needs to be shared. So those that are watching this evening, as much as you possibly can to share this with everybody, that these 4 men that were at the Coutts border, these are all peaceful protesters. They were all truckers. All the truckers want is just keep work. They just wanted to work. And the farmers the same way. That's why Trudeau was trying to shut down all the farmers. He doesn't want nobody farming anymore. He wants to put tags, electronic tags on every cow, every animal, every animal that you own. And if you kill one, say if you take one of your cows out and make it into a processing, then he wants to know where that meat went. I'm telling you, he wants it so detailed because he doesn't want you to make income higher than him. And he wants you dumbed down. And this is what I'm trying to show you guys. That's why the farmers right now here in Canada, as well as the United States, are fighting back again. They're on the road and they're doing the same thing. What Poland's doing right now, what France is doing right now, and other European countries, Netherlands, they're all fighting back. I've watched the ones in France. Okay. I watched up in France. I've seen the videos. There are miles and miles and miles of tractors fighting for the rights of the farmers on the highways. There's not one car, all tractors, all the cars pulled over for the tractors and the truckers to come through. And the police were sent out in the middle of the city and they were in full uniform, full gear, like combat gear. And they were going to beat up the farmers and with billy clubs and weapons and beat up the truckers. And they put these huge spiked barricades up to make sure nobody got through. Guess what? The farmers got smart and they brought in bulldozers, huge ones, bigger than ours in Canada, huge. The ones you use in the mining fields, they brought those ones in. Boom, knocked those barricades down, and they forced all the police officers to go run and scatter. Why aren't we having this here? Why can't we do this here? Why is Canada so passive? Oh, I'm not interested. No, you guys go ahead. We have been passive so much. We've been milk fed like a baby calf from the CBC and everyone else. And we've been milk fed so much and pampered that we forgot to say no. And if we did say no, we have tantrums, or we don't want nothing to do with it. We run away. You folks out there, every one of you, need to say enough is enough, right? Jeremy McKenzie, the Diagolin guy, might have been involved in the arrest of the Coutts. Chris Lysak was his head of security for okay, here we go. For Diagolin. Okay. So, like I said before, now let me explain this to you. Here's what the charges were. I'll bring this up on the screen. Let's bring this up and I'll show you on the screen, folks, what they did. Where is it? Window. There it is. Share. Okay. You'll see in there, this is what the RCMP charged, seized by the RCMP from all Nick's properties. A stockpile of firearms, over 36,000 rounds of ammunition. 36,000 rounds? That's like a freaking army, military. 2 pipe bombs, 4 gas masks, camouflage, tactic gear. And the Mounties seized, they said that they seized more than 36,000 rounds. Not even a farmer has that many rounds. Give me a break. Jerry McKenzie, the Diagolin, be involved in the rest of the Coots. You know what? Chris Lysak was the security for Diagolin. Do you know what? I will say this, and I will believe this. It has been, and it happened in Ottawa, okay, in the city. I've seen city police officers pretend to be the citizens, and they start crap, and they cause the shit, and then they'll switch back and put their uniform back on and start beating on the people. Okay, that has been done. And that the RCMP idea part, or they've done the same thing in Nova Scotia, where in Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, there was an indigenous band that did not want the government to come in and take their land away from them. They were taking their land away from them, so the people are standing up for their rights. What happened was, I got a photograph of it, a woman actually brought out her eagle feather and stood in the middle of the road, eagle feather, on her knees. There were 30 RCMP all lined up, ready to beat the living hell out of the First Nations people. I forgot the name of the band, but for the part in the New Brunswick area. And they were going to, and out loud is recorded on video. One officer said, "Just say when, I'll break his neck." I'm not kidding you guys. This has been going on. Corruption's got to stop. I've watched a lot of stuff and I kept my mouth shut, but this has got to quit. This has got to stop. And again, there is corruption. Now, I've got a couple of friends that are RCMP, nicest guys in the world. They would never hurt anybody. In fact, they didn't like what was going on. They quit their job. They didn't like the bull crap that was happening to the people. They quit their job. They up and say, "I'm out of here. No, this is not what I wanted. This is not how I thought that we were supposed to be doing this job." And I found out from a friend of mine who's retired RCMP for 25 years, ex-military before she became RCMP, and she told me there was a lot of corruption there. And I knew this woman since school. There's so much old boy school attitude. Good old boy, you know. If you don't do as we tell you, you know, she was told that the RCMP told her that the RCMP are not to speak to a citizen because we're considered as low life. We're supposed to be considered as low life. We're low life. Okay, I'm not kidding you guys. And she didn't like that. She quit. She says, that's it, I'm done. She says she thought she'd be proud of her job. She was proud of being in the military, but when she transferred into RCMP, thinking that would be the right thing, and she was holding out as long as she could, but she said she couldn't stand anymore seeing a couple of her girlfriends that got physically harmed. That was it. I was done, she said. And she walked. She retired, took her retirement early. So, and then another lady friend of mine who actually was in the RCMP in Saskatchewan, and she witnessed some really nasty stuff what the RCMP had done. And they took a lot of First Nations people out to the highway in the middle of winter and abandoned them, leave them on the highway and freeze to death. And she didn't like it. And she said, "I need to report this." And they said, "It's best you keep your mouth shut." And she was going to report that day. And that day she was coming down the concrete stairs in the back of the building. 2 officers came out, pushed her over, broke her back. And they told her, "We warned you." And she had to quit. She was forced retirement because she couldn't walk anymore. She couldn't do her job. So there is corruption everywhere. And I'm not saying all the RCMP, but this is exactly what was going on for too many years. So this, to me, this thing between the four men and others that happened in Coutts in very same way in Ottawa. The people, you may not understand too, the name Ottawa is not the way it's proper spelt or spoken. It's Ottawa. That's the proper way, Ottawa. And people, the English tongue got lazy. And they said it their own way. And even all of our parliamentary cabinet ministers should be calling it Ottawa from now on, the proper way, because it was named after the First Nations people, not by the British. So anyways, the Freedom Convoy protesters, like I said before, they were there for one reason only, and that was to seek freedom. And that's what everybody was trying to do, was seeking freedom. Also, the RCMP they redacted a lot of information they would not release for others to see, like what the charges are. They redacted them, and they calling it the unidentified group. Like they said, oh, we had an unidentified group or person that said this. Well, I think what you're talking about, Layla, is the informant, RCMP informant. The unidentified group is that person. Okay, so. And they're taking orders. And I did a timestamp on what they had said. And they said also there's 9 others that got arrested. That also they made up the story. It just got to the point there. The RCMP was just making up stories just to make themselves look good and making these guys look bad. But I want to share with you everything what. I'll be sharing the story here in the newspaper, so you guys know exactly what's going on. I'm just telling you what I understand. The Bill C-63 includes all past protests and to this day relating to the Coutts altercations. So what they're going to do, RCMP have been filming, and the city police have been filming everything that anybody's been protesting anywhere. They're going to take all that film and from the past, from 2020, 2021, you name it, everybody that protested back earlier years when we had the lockdown or after the lockdown, and they're going to present all of these films, these videos, and those people that have protested back then, he wants to use those films and also proceed to charge everyone that protested and to silence everyone else that's been doing every other video regarding what's going on to even seek your freedom or talk about freedom. Anybody's been doing any interviews, he wants that shut down as well. I'm telling you, this is. I'm like I said before, this is the scare tactic. Okay, he wants to see how far he can get away with it. If you look at David Menzies from Rebel News, I'm sure you've seen the story on that. David Menzies even tried to interview Krista Freeland down the road regarding a certain incident. And she kept on walking, and a plainclothes RCMP, I think it was RCMP, stuck out his arm and hit him in the chest, and then pulled him over and said to him that he assaulted the officer. And next thing you know, he was handcuffed, and also they buggered up his arms, by the way. David Menzies actually had surgery done to his shoulders, and they buggered up his physical body. So they handcuffed him, but they handcuffed him really hard, and they threw him in the car pretty hard. They weren't kidding around. These guys are taught one thing is tactic and to physically do harm. Okay. When you're plainclothes, you are considered as a security guard. You are a bodyguard, and these bodyguards are worse. But see, they're carrying an undercover badge to play even the scary role. Okay. Now, signed off. So basically, there's a sign off of a plea deal on lesser charges. So basically, they're giving them the charge of the 2 guys that charged trespassing. And you know what? Number one, They have, even the RCMP cannot charge you for trespassing. You're on the freaking highway. It is open for public to be there. You're not trespassing. They're using these names, and they're fraudulently using these names as that it's wrong to go anywhere. Like you got no, like they're just basically saying, oh, it's trespassing. You can't come in this building. It's trespassing. How can it be trespassing when it's open to the public to come anyways? Does that make any sense? No, not at all. Okay. Let's see here for a second. Yeah. I'll bring that up after. Okay, what I want to do is share with you the videos, a couple of videos, and bring these over, swing them in, and show you some of the interviews that some of these people have done. But we're going to let you know, I'm going to show you who these people are that I actually had seen, watched their work in. And this is Sean Jason here. So I'll show you him in a minute. Let's bring this in. And have a watch for the next 215. This is the reason why like I said, this is the same company here that I've been showing you guys regarding. These guys have been they've been actually working with, have been behind everyone's support during the whole thing since it very began during the peaceful protest. So here it is.
Reporting for Druthers News, we are in front of Queen's Park today, and we have quite a police presence already.
Hi, I'm Zoe from Druthers News, and we are at Queen's Park yet again.
So hello, I'm Chrissy Van Alstyne here with my Druthers team.
I mean, it's a crazy idea, dude. It's a crazy idea. Why did you do it?
Print media is dying. And here we are rocking it with 500,000 copies this month. It's incredible.
Well, here we are at Queen's Park again. Let's go in and check things out, shall we?
Health is the real wealth.
Yes, health is the real wealth.
We got to do it old school, but it's working. It's very effective. Nice.
These are flying like hotcakes.
Druthers.
Like within 7 days of April, I'm calling people to get more, and nobody has them.
Oh, you like my donation? Awesome, I have that screen open right now. Okay, yeah, it's 10 cents per paper. Okay, yeah, no, thank you. Okay, have a great day. Okay, bye.
Druthers is a paper by the people, for the people. It's volunteer-based and donation-based, and without your continued love and support, this paper would not be happening. So please give what you can, if you can, and let's wake up more Canadians. We're making a difference.
Did we just take back Dundas Square? We just came here and then stomped on it and said, like, this is ours. It belongs back to the people.
This is our paper. This is the people's paper.
Thank you so much for making this possible, and this possible, and this possible, and many, many more possible. Thank you so much.
I love you. Pass it on.
Okay, so like I said before, this is important because if it wasn't for these guys, I never would have found their. I mean, I do know their papers are actually in Ontario, but like I said before, when I accidentally came across this newspaper at a Shoppers Drug Mart here in Surrey, BC, and I thought, oh, okay, I'll grab a few of these papers. So when I read it, 717 days locked up with trial, and I thought, what? They're still inside, and that's where I began thinking, okay, this has got to stop. What's this needs to be? We need to talk about this. Now, this editorial here is done January 31st, 2024, and this is the Medicine Hat News. Okay, and according to them, they said it says a southern Alberta man found guilty last year of dangerous driving at the Coutts border protest and assault with a weapon against an RCMP officer has been sentenced to 10 months in jail. Now, number one, the story is wrong. He never tried to hit an officer. The sentence is 2 months less than what the Crown sought, but a significant departure from the conditional sentence order and the house arrest asked for by defense counsel for James Edward Sowery. Let me add this into this page over here. That'll be this one here. So when they're talking about this is the only sentence that will emphasize the very serious consequences that conduct such as Mr. Sowery engaged in on February 14, 2022. Last March, they said there that the jurors deliberated for about 6 hours before finding Sowery guilty to deliberately accelerating the constable Corey Kornicki, who had conducting traffic stops along the Highway 4 near Milk River during the Coutts border blockade protest. So like I said before, folks, this is even, it says right here, it says Mr. Sowery came close to striking Constable Kornicki, and the slightest miscalculation on Mr. Sowery's part of unexpected movement by Constable would have resulted in serious injury or death. Like they're really as if this man was going to try to harm him. Now, what I read earlier in another story, this guy here, Sowery himself, actually was trying to get out of the way, and he stood in front of the vehicle, like he actually, and he was trying to get out of the way, but not hitting him. But this is what gave the RCMP the intent of wanting to harm, like basically to basically charge him. That was their goal. Okay, so that's what they like to do. They like to play the game to scare people. Now, this one here, this column here, it says 2 of the 4 men accused of conspiracy. Let's see, it's back in here again. The 2 of the 4 men accused of conspiring to RCMP during Coutts protest pled guilty to lesser charges. Now, this is your CBC pled guilty. Okay, they're saying protest plead guilty to lesser charges. If these men had the ability or had the wanting to hold out as long as they could have, but because your physical body and your spirit is totally exhausted, 2 of the 4 men accused of conspiring to RCMP officers during the border blockade. They never tried to do that, none whatsoever. That's an absolute BS story. On Tuesday, Mr. Jerry Morin pleaded guilty to conspiracy to traffic firearms. You know what? Let me tell you something. He never trafficked firearms. He never did. But he pled guilty because he had to get out. He was tired. Here's again, folks. This is pressure. Think about it. This is absolute pressure to the person who's inside. You're forced to do things. Don't forget, these men were actually tortured, psychologically tortured so much. And a lot of these inmates had shared their story with being with these men inside. They went through trauma, and even today, the last 2 that are still there are going through trauma, and they're holding out as long as they can. Okay, so the thing is that people don't realize how we've got the evil in our government. Here's one here. Lysak said he forgot he had a handgun. Statement of facts. According to an agreement, statement of facts that the Crown of Defense, Lysak case that learning of the convoy at Coutts, He took his Remington rifle and ammunition bag, but he could hunt coyotes if he found himself idle and bored. You're an indigenous person. You want to go hunting. You have the right to go hunting. And didn't you hear what it said? Read what it said. The gun is in the suitcase. They are rifle cases. They're already sealed. They're covered. They're closed. They're locked. But the thing is that the jurors don't see that. They're thinking of the open rifle, the whole 9 yards back of the window. So at the time, RCMP were involved in the investigation into the closure of the border. The police believe that the group of men they statement. Well, number one, like I said earlier, it's the RCMP that were guarding the border. They've been guarding the border even before this so-called security group. On about February 10th and 11th, 2022, Mr. Lysak emptied out his ammunition bag to use the bag for laundry and discovered that his SIG Sauer semi-automatic handgun was inside the bag. The document reads, okay, if you still use, and if he's licensed and it's in his bag and there's no bullets in it. Okay. And it's in his bag, it's sealed. And if it's true, okay. Including a trailer where Lysak was reading. Number one, what gave them the right to go there? Because they wanted to do more attacks. They want to make sure that he never gets out. They're treating him like as if he was a bad guy. All these guys are just good old boys. They're just truckers. These are truckers. Okay? These aren't just regular guys living in town and got nothing to do. They just want to go to work. According to the agreement, a statement, this is Morin's conversation, disclosed by wiretapping. Wiretapping. That's illegal, folks. Wiretapping. According to the agreement statement of facts, Morin attended the Coutts blockade on a number of occasions between February 9th to the 14th. According to the document, Morin agreed to deliver firearms, ammunition, and other equipment to others at the protest. Coded language was used in the conversations which were disclosed by the RCMP wiretap. Wiretapping is illegal. There's no wiretap. The undercover officers observed Morin arrive by truck at the field near the main site of the Coutts blockade, which was located past the RCMP checkpoint at Milk River, according to the agreement statements by the facts. Agreed statement of facts. Whose agreed statement? Okay, that's pressure. 3 weeks was intended to start at June 2023 before court King's Bench. It should be Queen before, not King. But like I said, folks, this is by your own decision. This is actually gone to your really plain you. Okay, I want to say this one here first. Okay. Now I'm going to go to this one here. I find it's interesting. These guys were interviewing Gord McGill, and he knows these guys quite well. Let's see here. And I was so happy to see what Gord had shared with our people. I'm actually trying to see if I can get Gord on my show for Thursday. I'm hoping that he's able to be there. If he's not, we'll see what he can do. Now, the code number is, hang on a second here, guys. We got commercial. Okay. Let's get this volume back up again. Now I'm going to do what's the marker? Timestamp 640. Okay. Listen carefully, folks. And when you here's what he had said.
Group. Ooh. They never say what group I've never heard.
Let's go back.
Anyway, here we go.
Being given orders by an outside leadership group.
Here, let's start from the beginning.
According to newly unsealed court documents, RCMP believe 4 men accused of plotting to kill Mounties at the Coutts border blockade were being given orders by an outside leadership group.
Ooh. They never say what group. I've never heard. Gord, have you heard what outside group they claim has been giving orders?
Well, yes, I have heard about it, and it's very interesting. Some of the evidence they use now, to get back to this particular media reel you have, there was a publication ban on reporting information to obtain documentation that the RCMP and the Crown used to obtain their warrants, which they used to raid the encampment. And a bunch of this stuff that they're reporting is actually subject to that publication ban. But like the CBC and CTV and all the mainstream media have never been charged, and they've never been told to take down this stuff, which is actually subject to the publication ban, which then the media used to hide behind to not talk about the case at all after the ban came down. So there's like a ton of hypocrisy here. But as far as this dude, this outside group, it was a guy with a Telegram channel who has never been arrested, never been charged. The cops know who he is, but nothing has ever come of it. It just poof, disappeared. They used it to scare you, but then this outside group has just kind of like faded off into the ether, like it never existed.
So it seems like it was invented by the authorities to scare you. Okay, so there's more to this report. Let's listen.
The names of the people in that group have been redacted from the report as they are part of an active investigation. The newly released records involve transcriptions of phone calls between the 4 charged with conspiracy to commit murder, Anthony Olenek, Chris Lysak, Jerry Morin, and Chris Carbert, and the unidentified leadership group. The documents state the leadership wanted more than just vaccine mandates lifted, but also the elimination of the professional political class. It also alleges Olenek, Lysak, Morin, and Carbert trained for months and stockpiled firearms at Olenek's property near Claresholm while taking orders from an unidentified group. The documents reveal in February, Mounties seized more than 36,000 rounds of ammunition, 2 pipe bombs, gas masks, camouflage, and tactical gear from the property. Other intercepted calls from the 4 men's cell phones refer to more potential weapons coming from a second stockpile in Nanton, as well as a growing tension between those protesting in Coutts and the leadership group. In February, Olenek, Lysak, Morin, Carbert, and 9 others were arrested after RCMP uncovered a cache of weapons in Coutts. Olenek is also charged with making and possessing an explosive device, and Lysak faces a charge of uttering threat.
So, like I said before, folks, this is coming to the point where, like, I want to thank Jimmy Dore for doing this program here and getting Gord on. But this is what they're showing you now. Jimmy Dore actually is American, and he's sharing with us what he's found, and Gord actually is letting you know that he was there, and he knew knows all the people that are part of it, right? So, if you're wanting to learn more about this, and here I'll give you guys a little more here, what we're going to go with right about there.
A leadership group.
That sounds like such garbage that was written exactly by the authorities that want to imprison and stop the truckers. That didn't sound like a news report to me. Pipe bomb.
No, what they were doing is trying to scare people, and this is why the judge who issued the original publication ban issued it, because a bunch of it is unsubstantiated allegations. And again, the RCMP was trying to concoct a fantasy against these guys. And one of the central themes to this story that they're not telling you about is that the Freedom Convoy had several locations. There was Ottawa, there was the Windsor Ambassador Bridge to Detroit, Coutts, Emerson, Manitoba. There was another 1 or 2 in BC, all across the country. And at all of those protest sites, there was not one lick of violence. The inquest into this, the Public Order Emergency Commission proved without a doubt that everything the media said about the Freedom Convoy was a lie. There was zero evidence of any violence anywhere. And what they had were these allegations against these guys in Alberta which turned out to be a whole lot of hokum. How interesting that the inquest into the invocation of the Emergencies Act was held in October of 2022, and the pre-trial hearings against these 4 guys did not start until after that hearing, right? Nothing. And so did you hear, Jimmy, a few weeks ago, 2 of these 4 men were let out of jail.
Oh, I didn't hear that.
Right. So they started out being the Coots 4. 2 of them, Jerry Morin and Chris Lysak, were offered plea deals. Those plea deals were on minor charges that were not part of the original group of charges that were laid against them. So this whole conspiracy to commit murder was dropped. Mischief dropped. Gun charges dropped. They just dropped everything against 2 of these guys completely, which tells you that there's nothing.
So they had those 4 guys in jail for 2 years, correct, Gord?
2 years, and they were denied bail twice. And all 4 of these guys, upstanding citizens with no criminal records. One of them had a charge for possessing 2 hits of ecstasy, which may have happened when he was a minor, but no violence, no criminal history, nothing. Denied bail. In 2018, the Trudeau government passed legislation that increased bail. So basically, if you've actually killed somebody, you're out on bail. Repeat sexual offender, out on bail. Doing things to kids, out on bail. The Canadian prison system is so backed up with people, and the judicial system is so backed up with cases that they're just letting all kinds of criminals loose on the streets. But these 4 guys, nope, no bail. You'd think there's a bit of a question here about that.
So guess what?
And that's exactly what it is, folks. When he just finished saying that, no bail. Why? Because they got something on Trudeau. And Trudeau knows he's screwed up. And so they have to slowly downsize and they're going to find probably something even bigger and heavier on the other 2 guys that are still in prison. I mean, I know we're well down the road. It will be all the charges we drop. But what I'm pointing out is that when you're seeking freedom, you have that right. You have the right to be born. You have the right to leave this world. You have the right to do whatever you want to do in this life when you feel is right. The fact is that there is corruption within the government itself, and they are trying everything they can to make up stuff. But who told the RCMP to do this? The leader that's running this country, and we are letting him get away with it. Literally.
Now, a court judge says Canada's use of the Emergencies Act to quell truckers' protests over COVID was unreasonable. Isn't that
unreasonable, unlawful, unconstitutional, and unnecessary?
So here's what the AP has to say about it. The act had allowed authorities to declare certain areas as no-go zones. It also allowed the police to freeze truckers' personal and corporate bank accounts, which is why you don't want to go to digital money. Because now the authorities can, as soon as they don't like what you're doing, as soon as you call out their criminality, they're going to freeze your bank accounts. Now you can't pay your bills. You can't travel. You can't buy gas for your car. You can't go to work. You can't pay your electric bill or your heating bill, or you can't buy groceries. So
no, they can basically block you out of life in general because everything is electronic now.
So it also so that emergency act allowed the police to freeze truckers' personal and corporate bank accounts and compel tow truck driver companies to haul away vehicles. Deputy Prime Minister Chrystia Freeland. What an ironic name, Freeland.
She's a family friend to Yaroslav Hunka, the honored Nazi. Because remember they had one Nazi flag that was probably not even one with the truckers.
No, that was. I think that had been proven to be planted. That one swastika flag that they said was the truckers.
Yeah. Then their House of Commons applauded a Nazi.
Then they
not a year and a half later.
Well, it pays to remember too that Chrystia Freeland is the granddaughter of OG Ukrainian Nazis.
Yeah, so
legitimate Nazis who fought on the side of Hitler.
Let's
just keep that in mind.
You remember that guy that they did a standing ovation for, folks, in Parliament? The guy that was 89 years old. That he called himself the Ukrainian freedom fighter. That means he wasn't a freedom fighter. He was a Nazi. He was an SS officer. He was actually stood side by side with Hitler. That's Christopher Greeland's grandfather.
If you can't have actual Nazis from World War II leading your country, at least you can try to get their children and grandchildren to do it, right? So let's not be fussy about it, okay? People, we're trying to get the trains to run on time, okay?
So let's see here. I want to get one more here. Stupid video games. Okay.
We would eliminate the need for every solar panel and wind farm and the entire everywhere on planet Earth. Justin Trudeau was elected with, I think he only got low 30s percentage of like 57 or 58% of the eligible voting population who showed up in the last election. Like he's literally ruling with something less than 20% of the popular vote. Everybody outside of Toronto, Ottawa, and Montreal hates his guts. It's just like he's a boy toy of the Laurentian elite who really run Canada, and the Liberal Party of Canada are the political arm of this Laurentian elite, and they're so disassociated from actual Canadians that they cannot see how much he is hated.
What's Laurentian elite?
I don't know. What is Laurentian elite?
It's like saying, it's like the elite. That Laurentian is the sort of term for an area in southern Quebec. That's where these people come from.
It's not that coalition with that guy Jagmeet Singh and that Punjabi.
No. That's an of the times political coalition.
Oh.
And Jagmeet Singh is another criminal who has got way more power than he deserves, mostly because he's keeping Trudeau propped up.
Which you may not know, Jagmeet Singh actually was part of the Air India bombing in the past.
As soon as the Emergencies Act was nullified and passed by in late February of 2022, the first thing Justin Trudeau did was approach Jagmeet Singh, the leader of the NDP, and said, "Hey, what do you need? I'm going to help you. What you need to do for me, Jagmeet, is make sure that I don't get confidence motioned out of Parliament." Because one of the only democratic processes available in the parliamentary system to rid us of Trudeau immediately in the aftermath of the Freedom Convoy would be for, say, the Conservatives and the Bloc Québécois or some other random members of Parliament to pass a confidence motion, which would trigger an election. Trudeau knew this and very cynically brought Singh and the NDP on board by offering them carte blanche to pass whatever legislation they wanted, as long as they agreed to defeat anything that came forward that would result in a confidence motion and Justin Trudeau's rule being threatened. So Jagmeet Singh is literally one of the most powerful leaders in the West, but without any actual democratic representation because he's holding Trudeau up.
Wait, can I just blow your mind? Have you considered that Jagmeet Singh is Justin Trudeau in his Arabian Nights outfit?
Anyways, one thing that I want to say, he's in one way, Gord saying that he's powerful in the West. He's not entirely powerful in the West because nobody here in BC, especially the South Asian people, they dislike Jagmeet Singh. They don't like him at all because he was kicked out of India, out of his own country for what he had done in the past. So, Gord may not know that. So I thought I'd share that with you guys. There's more to this story, but if you ever want to find out more about it, that's basically under says Trudeau shot down by a judge over prosecuted truckers. I want to thank Jimmy Dore for sharing this program on there. So I shared a little bit with you guys, let you know what was going on because it needs to be shared for you to see. You need to know the truth, and this is why I'm here to do this. Now, also we've got Let's see here. I'll let that one go. And let's see here. Smith responds to allegation staff member emailed Alberta Crown Prosecution Service over Coutts blockade. People may not, like I said before, those are that are the Premier, Alberta Premier, the new Alberta Premier Danielle Smith. She tried her darndest. Okay, she tried her darndest to help these guys get out of jail, but Trudeau told her to mind her own business, and he's scared. He's absolutely scared for what she knows. She was given some heads up on what's going on, and they don't like it. They are trying to stop her from saying anything. So she, because also what Trudeau is doing is interfering with their own, like, thing is that Alberta can be its own country if it wants to be. That's why it only has one tax. So there's more to that story. So Alberta Premier Danielle Smith threatens CBC with legal action over Coutts blockade series. Yes, she's in the right, and CBC is in the wrong. So what CBC done is CBC accused her. Okay, they threw her in the pit. They're trying. CBC is told to ruin her by Trudeau. They're trying to ruin her reputation, so they're making up garbage to hurt her reputation. But apparently, what I understood, there we do have. I'll just quickly show this. I'm not going to go too far on it. Just the one. But this is what the editorial is about, folks. This right here, and it just says here that CBC is trying to ruin her reputation. They're told to, because Trudeau wants her to, because he's paid them to do it. So if you want to read the column, read the Alberta Premier Danielle Smith threatened CBC with legal action over Coutts blockade series. So she was trying to get them out of prison. She knows very well these kids, these I call kids, men that are not guilty. But again, she's trying. She's doing her darndest. So that's what happens, right? Anyways, let's see here. One more thing I want to bring up, and
pretty awesome areas.
No, that's not it. I'll bring that out of the way. Okay, bring this one up. Now you're going to see this. This is one of my last part I want to share with you guys. You're going to see this on possibly some of the social networks. This is the company that has been sharing information regarding the again, that's what I've got here, right? The DRUTHERS. If you haven't, if you want, these guys are strongly supportive of helping everyone seek the truth, and that's what these guys are, the truth seekers, and they tell you the truth. But if you look at here, it says people in Canada can't see this content in response to the Canadian government legislation. New content can't be viewed in Canada. This is all done by Facebook and or X. Not X, but and Intel. Like, basically, they're doing their darndest to stop us from sharing the. And you know what? I'll tell you this: this sort of thing has happened before, where the guys were putting out the newspapers in a certain area of the. There was an event they're at, and they put out these newspapers. They're handing them out to people. And apparently a couple of ladies were watching what these guys are doing, handing out the papers. And so these ladies followed them. And every time they would come up to the people handing out the newspapers, these ladies take the newspapers out of their hands and they take them themselves, and they were throwing them in the garbage. But they did a video on saying that these guys here were not good, and that they were evil, and they were telling lies, and typical whatever what you call the Antifa people. And so the D's, the truthers, they just basically said, we're not going to be mad at you guys. If you don't like what we do, then don't even touch our stuff. This is for the people that want to read So you're always going to have someone someone's going to try to do the pushback, and they're trying to make it look worse than what it is. So I just want to share that with you guys. Let's see here, and those in the chat room. Also says, okay, I know Arthur Pawlowski is from, okay, that one there. Yes, Num. Like I said, folks, I hope you guys understand that what I'm trying to share with you, what was going on. If you want to find this one right here, okay, this particular 717, I'll put this on the page here so you guys can have a look at it on the other screen. If you want to find that newspaper, here where I'm living in the Surrey region, there's actually there's a Shoppers Drug Mart. They have these newspaper boxes in the front of the store. So if you find some of these in there, grab one for yourself or grab a handful and give them out to your friends. It's really important that there's some really great columns in there. And you can get the whole full story, but they talk about, say, the Covenant Mayor of the United Nations. They talk about follow-up to Canada, the Grand Deception, controlling the food supply. It's all in here. This is what these guys are trying to do. They're trying to show you what's going on. That's why, this is what Trudeau's afraid of. He's afraid of this. He's afraid of that magazine. He's afraid of that newspaper. He's afraid of the guys that do it. He's afraid of all the editors. He's afraid of all the people that deliver it. He's afraid of all, what's going on. Now, clarify things clearly. Now, some people saying, well, I thought you said that, so-and-so T is not here. He's not. But this is supposed to wake you guys up. Okay? Be prepared. Don't get upset. Don't get angry. But we still need to support and help these guys out. Now, if you ever want to donate to help the guys that are still in jail, there's actually that's available through. If you go to the website there, and it'll show you that you can donate and help get these guys, because apparently the company itself, the newspaper, the company is helping to help the families. They don't make any money on this. This is given for the people that are still behind bars. And it helps the family. They're there to help. They're to help the family to pay for everything and to cover for them. And what I understand, these guys are unable to have visitors to see them, so it's hard for them to see their family. Because he's done. He's labeled them as almost just as bad the name terrorist, and this has got to stop. Our country is so passive. We've never, and I told you the story before about the young man who had psychosis, and they killed him, and he never even raised. He had no bullets inside this rifle, none whatsoever. He wasn't trying to kill anyone. He just was upset. He wanted to go back to Turkey. Our country is so passive. Okay. Thank you, Layla. You can also read it online in the website. We can do that too. Our country is so passive. We are not like other countries. Okay. We are trying to help each other out. Even though you see this right here, it says 717 days. As we speak today, it's 747 days. Okay. That these two guys still in there. 747 days. This is going to stop. And anybody who's living in the region, or if you guys can please, when I do download this, I'm going to actually save this as a file. It's going to go into my Rumble page. I'm going to keep this and put in Rumble page. It can be passed around everywhere. Once it's saved, and if you do, and if you guys do see it, please pass this around to everyone to see this video. It's vitally, vitally important, because the mainstream media will not let you whatsoever. Let's see. Let's do this here. Do close. It won't even let you share this whatsoever, or even to let you even know what the truth is. And we're trying to do as much as we possibly can to share the truth. And that's why I felt in my heart that I need to talk about this, because I did not want to put it I felt was important at the moment. Now we're important news, and I did on my did some quick research, what I understood from people that I met, and some of the things that I've actually was dealing with in the past, and to let you know that we need to clean up the swamp. Okay, we need to clean up the swamp. We're also those warriors. We're also here for a reason, to help clean up the swamp, and these are helping to clean up the swamp. These guys right here, I know very well support from our commander-in-chief. That definitely strong support from him. So that's why I tell people, as much as you possibly can, and if you also can, if you're interested in donating a few dollars too to help to keep this paper going, do it. It's important, because it's with your while, guys. Absolutely, we need to get these papers out to BC more often. If you can find these in somewhere in BC, please distribute them out to other people. Let them all know, even the kids. Even like if you're actually at any events, please pass them around. Right? James Sauer is also in jail. Is he? Okay. Yeah. So we. Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah, because I'm trying to let everybody know what's going on. I said these guys are not in there for 17 days. It's 7 so far. This needs to stop, because all this whole thing was about was freedom. Boy, all these truckers wanted to do was seek freedom, and people that participated wanted to seek freedom. And so that's why Justin Trudeau wants to get this bill C-63 passed, so then he can do whatever he wants to tell you what to do, and he won't use the RCMP to help him. He can't, because it's not considered as a law. He'll try to get a bill passed, but it has to be passed 3 times, and it hasn't gone through 3 times yet. So it's a proposal. But I don't think the Conservative government's going to actually agree whatsoever, because I know Poilievre, he will not agree with that whatsoever. And all the other people that are constituents were not going to support that whatsoever. But Trudeau's going to try and slip it in around midnight, where nobody's in Parliament. He'll try and slip it in and get it passed quickly on his own. That's how MacDonald, who was Prime Minister of Canada, whenever he wanted to get a bill passed, he waited until midnight where nobody is around, then he passed the bill. So we've got to watch him carefully, but you need to wake up people and say enough is enough. You can't keep on walking away and expecting this to go away and think, oh, it's going to go away. No, it's not. Okay. We need you to see the truth, and the truth is there in your face. It's in your face. It's showing you. Why would you want to see 2 Indigenous men suffer behind bars again? Suffer behind bars, like what for? Because they were just doing the right thing. And what gives them the right to tell you that you can't hunt coyotes? Okay. And if you didn't have a handgun, I had a handgun when I was a kid in the farm, but I had the handgun, and it was registered on my land. I had 180 acres of land. I was shooting gophers. But back then, nobody made a big deal about it. You're way out in the field, all by yourself, nobody there, no cattle, nothing. You're clear. So he had the right to carry, but then the CBC is not going to tell you that he didn't have a license, that he had a license. They're not going to tell you that. None. What they're going to say is, oh, well, he had a license, but we have to tell you that you can't say that. Well, that's bullcrap, right? So, yeah. So, anyways, like I said before, this is what I love making my banners to let you know what's going on. That's why I like to play the hint. You see in the picture here, you see a picture of him, his face, and you see a man here with his hands, and he's controlling puppets. Okay, and that's where these guys come in and go like, "Hey, see what he's doing? He's trying to control our country. He's puppeteering us, and we're falling for it." And his mouth is wide open like, what? You can't stop me. Ha. And no, we're going to stop him. He's scared. You see that expression in his face? He's scared. He knows it. He's absolutely scared. Okay. Oh, so you can see the picture of closer. But see how scared he is? That's why I made that banner that way. I do things to show expression, to show you exactly what's going on, to see the truth. I show it. I deliberately put it in my banner to get you guys, get people's attention to see the truth. So we do. This was a special evening. I wanted to make this Monday special report, but I'll be back here this coming Thursday doing more work. We'll be talking about other things and as well. But I do appreciate you guys joining in the share and thank you for being part of it. If you have anything you want, if you have any knowledge, if you have any other knowledge of what's going on, or guys or anyone else regarding the Coutts incident, please email me on Messenger and say, I know about this, Derek, I know about that. Or if you were actually on location, if you know any of the contacts that people have been a part of it, love to hear from them so that I can actually probably have them on the show and talk about it. Because I'm hoping if I can get actually Gord McGill on the program. I did write to him and ask him, so we'll see if he's not busy and have him come on the program on this Thursday, hopefully this Thursday, and we'll see what happens, right? So that's why I put in there this.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the main event. To Rumble!
Y'all ready for this?
That's what I do. I get ready to rumble. So anyways, folks, I really appreciate you guys being on the program, and we'll see you guys next week. In the meantime, be good to each other, and we'll talk to you guys next week. Take care.
Everyone lives, everyone dies. Everyone loves, everyone cries. Round the world we're all alike. So why is it war? Why do we fight? There's one sea, one sky, one earth. So you and I gotta learn to live together. When one hurts, when one hurts, we all gotta learn to live. Peace, make peace, make peace, peace. Alright. Anytime, brother, stop dying. Anytime, mother, stop crying. Stop the fighting and the hate before it's too late. There's one sea, one sky, one earth. So you and I gotta learn to live together. When one hurts, when one needs, we all gotta learn to live together. Peace, in peace, in peace. All right, never you.